the late 1960s, as social movements surged across America, a revolutionary force was rising from the streets of Chicago's Lincoln Park. Born out of the struggles of Puerto Rican immigrants, the Young Lords started as a street gang but quickly transformed into one of the most powerful Latino civil rights movements of their time. They fought for equality, dignity, and justice, not just for their own people, but for all oppressed communities in America. Today, we dive into the inspiring and radical history of the Young Lords. The story of the Young Lords begins in 1960 in Chicago's Lincoln Park, a neighborhood that had become a hub for Puerto Rican immigrants. Like many immigrant communities, they faced poverty, police brutality, and systemic racism. Out of this environment, a group of Puerto Rican youth formed a street gang called the Young Lords. Their primary concern back then was protecting their turf and surviving the violence of the streets. But the tides of change were coming. By 1968, a man named Jose Cha Cha Jimenez, a former gang member himself, realized that their fight needed to go beyond the streets. They weren't just fighting other gangs, they were fighting the system that oppressed them. Inspired by the social movements happening around the country, Jimenez transformed the Young Lords into a radical political organization. September 23, 1968, a day known as Grito de Lares, became a turning point for the Young Lords. It was on this day that Jose Jimenez restructured the organization and dedicated it to fighting for civil rights. The Grito de Lares holds deep significance in Puerto Rican history as the date of an 1868 rebellion against Spanish colonial rule, and Jimenez used this historic moment to inspire a new revolutionary movement. The Young Lords went from being a local street gang to becoming a national movement advocating for Puerto Rican independence, Latino empowerment, and solidarity with oppressed communities around the world. They fought against gentrification, displacement, poor housing conditions, and police brutality. Their slogan? Tierra y Libertad, Land and Freedom. One of the most significant influences on the Young Lords was the Black Panther Party. Like the Panthers, the Young Lords believed in self-determination and direct action. They adopted similar methods and even mirrored some of the Panthers' community service programs. While the Panthers had their free breakfast programs, the Young Lords launched free healthcare clinics, a free dental clinic, and worked to provide food and clothing to the community. They also started the Garbage Offensive in 1969, where they organized to clean up neglected streets in their neighborhood when the city refused to do so. They also demanded that local hospitals provide better healthcare to Puerto Ricans and the broader Latino community, leading them to occupy Lincoln Park's McCormick Hospital in 1969 to demand changes. The Young Lords were not content with just organizing in Chicago. Their revolutionary message spread like wildfire to other cities. Nearly 30 branches of the Young Lords emerged across the United States, including in New York City, where the movement grew even more powerful. In New York, the Young Lords established several chapters that took on significant battles for the Puerto Rican and Latino communities. They organized against slumlords, challenged inadequate healthcare services, and advocated for bilingual education. They called for Puerto Rican independence and united with other oppressed groups to create a multi-ethnic, revolutionary movement. Their aim was to challenge not only the local systems but also U.S. imperialism abroad. By the early 1970s, the Young Lords began to face increasing pressure from government authorities. Like the Black Panthers, they were infiltrated by the FBI through COINTELPRO, a secret program designed to undermine radical movements. The internal divisions, combined with external pressures, led to the weakening of the organization. Despite this, the Young Lords' legacy lived on. Their radical vision of community empowerment and their fight for equality left a lasting impact on the Puerto Rican diaspora and other Latino communities across the country. They demonstrated that ordinary people could rise up and demand change in the face of oppression. And while the movement may have faded, the ideas they fought for, justice, dignity, and self-determination, remain just as relevant today. The Young Lords stood as a symbol of resistance and resilience. They proved that a small group of committed individuals could organize, fight back, and leave an indelible mark on history. Their struggle for civil rights and Puerto Rican independence serves as a reminder that the fight for justice is never over. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the history of the Young Lords. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about untold stories of resistance and revolution, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired.